What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Turnbuckle Tommy Picks. We appreciate you tuning in, joining the channel. We're going to go over tomorrow's games, August 14th, 2025. We got a good slate on the board. First, hit that like and subscribe if you like the content. We keep it coming. We try to get good line value every day, get to the window together, and you know what we do. We're trying to smoke them. First game up on the board for tomorrow's slate. We have the Seattle Mariners taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Game three of this series, you got Logan Evans taking the mound for the Mariners, Tomioka Sagano taking the bump for the Orioles. This is a matchup I actually think the Baltimore Orioles can get away with stealing one. Uh, Sagano's actually been very serviceable. He's been decent in his home starts. I believe they are 2-0 in Sagano's last two starts. Logan Evans on the mound, however, he has over his last three games a 7.20 ERA. He's been good at home, a 3.32. On the road, though, 5.45. The Mariners are 2-4 in his road starts. Like I said, Sagano a 2.50 ERA over his last two starts, 2-0 at home, 4.14. The Orioles are 6-2. This is a spot I just think they can get right off of Logan Evans. Probably not enough value for me to get to the window with, but if I was going to go anywhere in this game, it would be to the Orioles, maybe an Orioles first five. Next game up on the board, we have the Chicago Cubs taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm curious to see what happens in this game tonight. It's getting ready to go off any minute now. Blue Jays took the win in yesterday's match. We had the Blue Jays in that game, so that was a good cash for us. Tomorrow, you got Matthew Boyd taking the mound for the Cubs. Matthew Boyd is a pitcher that we have back this season. I definitely think he is one of the Cubs' better pitchers. He's got a 2.45 ERA. But over his last two starts, they were a little shaky, a 4.24 ERA, and they were 0-2 in those starts. At home, 1.75, and even on the road, a 3.15. The problem is the Cubs are 2-5 in those starts. He doesn't seem to get, I don't know if it's he doesn't get the run support or, they're just getting outplayed. But I would like to back the Cubs in some way, shape, or form. On the other side of the mound, you got Max Scherzer. The Blue Jays are 1-2 in his last three. He's got a 2.84 ERA in those last three, a 4.30 ERA at home. Uh, Max Scherzer hasn't been great, hasn't been absolutely terrible. Again, not sure I could find value in this game. I would like to back the Cubs, maybe a Cubs team total over. We'll see how they play tonight. I'm still waiting for these bats to find their rhythm and start hitting again, because once they do, I think you can ride their team total over for a few games. So we'll look and see what that comes out at. But as of now, nothing to get to the window with. Next game up on the board, we got the Miami Marlins taking on the Cleveland Guardians. We backed Cleveland in game one. That was a good cash. It got sweaty there for a minute. Tomorrow, you got Edward Cabrera taking the mound for the Marlins. Excuse me. Edward Cabrera has been great. They're 2-1 in his last three starts, a 1.35 ERA in those three starts. At home, 2.85 ERA. They're 4-2 in his home games. On the road, goes a little bit higher, but not much, 3.40. They're 2-3 in his starts. Edward Cabrera is a pitcher we like to back when you're back in Miami. Yuri Perez, Edward Cabrera, those are guys you want to back on Miami. I do think this is a Cleveland spot, possibly. I think a lot of people are going to see the name Tanner Bybee, and they're going to be afraid, and they're going to want to run to the Miami side. And granted, Tanner Bybee over his last three starts has an ERA of 7.20. They're 2-0 in his last two starts, though. That's the thing. He wins the game. They win when he pitches. But the thing is again, 7.20 ERA over his last three, but at home, he has a 3.19 ERA, so he does pitch much better in Cleveland. They are 2-3 in his home starts. This could be a dicey matchup, man. I don't know. Possibly a Miami first five. Not sure if I'll find anything that I'll get to the window with. We got some other games on the board that look better, but if I was going to lean anyway, it would probably be a Miami first five, maybe a under. I think both these pitchers can come out, and I think they can both pitch a really good game. So we'll see what the line value is and take it from there. Next game up on the board, Phillies taking on the Washington Nationals, flying in no rest days. You got Jesus Luzardo taking the mound for the Phillies. Brad Lord will be on the bump for the Washington Nationals. Um, Jesus Luzardo has actually been lights out in his last three. He had that problem where he was apparently tipping his pitches, but since then, in his last three, they're 3-0. He's got a 1.89 ERA. At home, they're 5-2 in his starts, but he actually pitches better on the road. He has a road ERA of 3.19. They're 6-3 in his starts. Brad Lord on the other side has been very good as well. They're 1-1 in his last two, but he's got a 2.81 ERA in those last two. He's pitched great. He actually pitches better on the road, though. At home, his ERA goes up 4.15. The Nationals are 0-3 in his home starts. They're 3-3 in his away starts. This is a spot where I do think the Phillies bats. I think they can maybe. I do think Brad Lord has been pitching above his threshold. His expected ERA is a 3.28, and he's got a 2.81. And at home, he can't seem to get the win. They're 0-3. Washington really isn't hitting lefties like that. They're not smacking the leather off the ball. This is a spot we might be able to get some good value playing on the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll see what happens when the lines come out. We'll approach it from there. But I might look to get on a Phillies money line or a Phillies team total in this game. Next game up on the board, Braves taking on the New York Mets. This is a game I actually find very interesting. Reason being, you got Bryce Elder taking the mound for the Braves. Anyone who's watched baseball or who has bet on baseball this season knows that Bryce Elder has been absolutely horrific. They're 0-3 over his last three starts. He's got an 8.80 in those last three starts. He does have an overall ERA of 6.12, and they're 4-9 in his starts. You could expect a little progression because he's pitching so bad, but you got to ask yourself, what does the progression even look like? I mean, if he's, the good news is if you're looking to back the Braves at home, he's much worse, a 6.66 ERA. On the road, a 5.61. So, I mean, at least it's under six. Across from him, though, you got Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga has been a great pitcher. They're 7-4 in his starts, 0-1 in his last start. They did lose that. He's got a 2.30 ERA, 2.42 at home. They are 5-1 in his home starts. That last loss was the first one he took all season. So here's a game that I think everyone is immediately, and with good reason, should flock to the Mets. The problem is I'm not sure what kind of value we're going to get in that, Mets money line or even Mets run line. However, what a lot of people won't look at is the fact that the Atlanta Braves have been hitting right-handed pitchers pretty good, actually. Their bats have been dead over the last couple games. This could be a sneaky spot to maybe grab a Braves team total because they might have it at like 2.5. They could set it real low. If I can get the Mets run line at plus money, I'll take it. I don't know if you can with this pitching matchup. I could see them putting the Mets minus 1.5 at minus 110 or, maybe minus 105. But, again, could be a sneaky spot for a Braves team total. But the only way to back this game as far as the side goes would definitely be the Mets, in some way, shape, or form. Not sure if it has enough value for me to get to the window with, though. Next game up on the board, Tigers taking on the Minnesota Twins. This is probably going to be one of those games, guys, that doesn't really have a lot of value. You can find value spots, but it's Tariq Skubal on the mound, and across from him is going to be Bailey over. Uh, Bailey Ober has, without a doubt, in my opinion, probably been the Twins' worst pitcher. He's 5.16 ERA, 6.48 ERA over his last two games. He's 0-2. They're 0-2 in those games. At home, he pitches a little better, I guess you could say. He's got a 5.43, or I'm sorry, a 4.53 ERA, but they're still 2-4 in his home games. What can you say about Tariq Skubal? He's a machine. 3.57 over his last three starts. At home, a 2.55 ERA. They're 8-1 in his home game starts. They're 3-2 in his road starts, and he has a lower ERA in his road starts, a 2.11. This is a spot you can kind of only back the Tigers. The Twins, one thing about the Twins is they are hitting, and they are hitting left-handed pitchers. They're not killing them, but they are hitting them. Again, this is a spot you can really only back the Tigers. I just don't know what kind of value you're going to get. Maybe a Tigers team total over would be a really good look, actually, because whenever Skubal is on the mound, it usually doesn't even matter who's standing across from him. You're not going to get a total of higher than 7.5. Maybe an 8. So that would probably put the Tigers team total at 3.5, no more than 5.5, and 5.5 would probably be a decent line value. This is a game the Tigers can absolutely put up 5-6 runs. They smack the leather off of right-handed pitchers. Left-handed pitchers they can't seem, they struggle against, but they have no problem getting to righties. Bailey Ober is definitely a righty that is susceptible to getting smoked. So, maybe look to back a Tigers team total over in this game. Probably will stay away from the money line or any kind of side in this one. Finally, last game on the board. We have the Arizona Diamondbacks flying into Coors Field to take on the Colorado Rockies. This is actually a game I do plan on putting my money on. And reason being is you have Eduardo Rodriguez, an absolute gas can for the Diamondbacks. He is a lefty, taking the mound, 5.68 ERA. Over his last two starts, he has a 6.61 ERA. They're 1-1 in those starts. At home, 5.73. On the road, 5.63. 3-5 in his road starts. Across from him is Bradley Blaylock. And, this is a guy who's also a gas can, 6.61 ERA. At home, they're 1-3 in his home starts, and he has an ERA of 11.76. So that's pretty outrageous. The Diamondbacks' bats are actually back. They are hitting. You almost have to be a little apologetic because everyone have counted these guys out since the trade deadline because they completely sold off their important pieces, their best pieces. People thought they were just going to kind of check out mentally because it looked like they did for a little bit there. And they have bounced back, man, and they're putting runs up on the board. You got two horrible pitchers, and don't look now, but the Colorado Rockies rank number 10 in last 30 days OPS for left-handed pitchers. So again, this is a spot. The Rockies have a 757 OPS against lefties, and I mean that's good. That they're smacking. Eduardo Rodriguez is definitely a lefty that can get smacked around. Bradley Blaylock, I mean, this guy has an ERA above 10. Right now, this line is actually out. The total is sitting at 12. And it is, I will give you the value now. It's actually 110, minus 110 both ways. So it's a pick 'em. And I think some money will come in on the under. I'm hoping a lot of people will see 12 and say, oh, this is insane, and I hope money comes in. Maybe we can grab an 11.5, but I absolutely plan on being on this over. With these two gas can pitchers, again, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks. Their bats are swinging. This is a spot I think Arizona could possibly get 10 by themselves. And I'm not even joking about that. So yeah, I definitely plan on backing the over in this game, and hopefully we'll get to the window, money come in, and yeah, that wraps it up for today's slate. For tomorrow's slate of games. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Ride with me. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if it's 1, 10, 100, 1,000 people watching. I love helping people make money. I love making money. We love sports. We love talking sports. Let's get these good lines. Let's beat the books. Let's stay sharp. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Wednesday evening and a good night of baseball. Hopefully, you guys cash some tickets. And remember, if you want to know what I'm going to go official with, you can check out my X account. I post my plays there daily. Everything that I actually bet, I do post on X with the odds that I get them at. So you can check that out. That's at Tommy Turnbuckle. There'll be a QR code at the end of the video. You can just scan, it'll take you right there. As far as my leans in tomorrow's card, I'm looking at the Rockies and Diamondback game over 12. I'm looking at possibly a Marlins first five and an Orioles money line. Those are the three things I'm really looking at right now. So let's get some good line value and let's smoke them.